content.
Alright, anyways, hello and welcome to episode 6 of the podcast. Today, we've got
Come
me.
up with a better name.
Shh, we have a ghost in our room that's haunting us again. Anyway, so going counterclockwise, there's me.
I'm Brody.
Kelsey.
Sometimes Seamus.
Emily.
And we also have Raj in the background. He's not going to be contributing unless he wants to, at which point he'll probably say a few lines.
Wait a minute.
Anyway.
There's also a monster under the bed.
There's a monster there's a ghost on
It's the monster under
Okay,
the
it's
bed,
the ghost in the closet, the
closet.
monster's under the bed.
Yeah.
And we just need a skeleton somewhere to top it all off.
Well, the skeleton would be in the closet,
The
wouldn't
skeleton's in the
Oh,
closet.
why
The
did we
ghost
call
would
the
be in the
skeleton in the
attic.
closet last time?
So we need to get him on the
Because it was
ceiling
late
next
and we weren't
week.
thinking.
Oh, next time.
God, our wits are slow.
He was being creepy
Wait.
as heck, man.
Anyway.
There's been a critical error.
What?
You've never said your name.
Oh, they know me. I'm Brian. The
I
guy
thought
who
your name
runs
was
a-
Chad.
That's my alter ego.
Thought that was Megatron.
This is
That's my secret identity, Brody. You shouldn't have
Megatron
revealed
the
it.
How many
identities do you have?
Anyway. Alright, question of the day. Which major is the best major if you had to choose exactly one?
Oh,
F
L.
major.
I'd like to
C
contest
major.
your question. It is not
Second-
actually the question of the day.
E
It's
flat
the
major.
question of the night.
E flat major is the
My
best
existential
major.
crisis. Let's move on.
I mean, are you guys implying that a music degree is the best degree?
No, just E flat
No,
major
we're
is the
just
best key.
What? I think, wouldn't it just be
Right.
basic business degree because you could do like anything with it?
Yeah, but it's also the most boring degree, so nobody's gonna
Yeah,
hire
it's boring,
you.
but it's the most versatile.
I think probably
For what?
CS degree.
CS
Oh, yeah,
degree?
CS
That's overdone,
data,
though.
data science.
Yeah.
Too many people do
computation
CS
stuff.
degrees.
Yeah, but it's
Well-
because it's useful.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
no,
I'm,
more because like it's
My
popular.
professional opinion
I'm biased
is
towards
that
medicine just because
a
I'm trying
CS
to be a
degree is
surgeon.
good,
Like,
but there are a
some
lot
of
of
the
sort of
data
CS
analysis
degrees you
stuff.
can get. For example, I want to pursue
No,
a
we can't.
cybersecurity degree, and then there are also like just regular computing degrees, computer science, business, computational biology, all that stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
also the aerospace industry is starting to take off a bit. So if you're looking for a perspective major, that would be good. Probably somewhere in there would be decent.
I think isn't just like all STEM stuff is pretty big right now.
Yeah.
Keep the fan on. It's gonna get really hot in here, bro.
Alright.
We close the windows.
But then, like for example, would we count pre-med as a degree? Because technically it's not a degree, it's just a path.
Well,
What
let's just pick medical degrees. Medicine is a degree.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like
Okay, listen. This isn't a house. We're allowed to talk about
I'm
medical
so
degrees.
depressed from you.
We're not talking about lupus or sarcoidosis. I learned how to
Lupus.
say it.
wait, you
Sarcoidosis.
didn't know how to
Lumbar
say
puncture.
sarcoidosis this
I
entire
would always
time.
say psychodosis.
Well, I mean-
like some weird like.
That's
Actually,
completely
wait,
different.
so you say medical
Psych-
degree is the best degree.
I would always say like psychodosis. Like I wouldn't say
Kelsey.
sarcoidosis. Yes.
Wait, so you're saying a medical degree is the best degree?
I'm saying that's the one I want.
No, you want a
But would it be
liberal arts
worth it
degree.
though?
No, too much reading.
Liberal arts, guys.
I hate
It's a
reading.
dying industry, which means you'll have a great time as a historian.
Honestly, what do all these people do with like their African American studies?
I mean,
Study
Like, what do
African
you-
Americans?
Yeah.
What do you do with that? Like,
Study
what
African
jobs do
Preserve
you
knowledge.
get?
You preserve knowledge.
So
I feel
also
like the
good-
only job that you can get is a teacher
a big thing
Yeah.
you can do
of those things.
is if you run nonprofits
Uh-huh.
and organizations that help minorities and people like at risk or people of color.
Oh, okay.
Like helping
So
out.
does that
and
mean I
direct-
get to count?
What?
Yes,
Will
you're
they
a
help
person
me?
of
You're not a
color.
minority.
Well, if you get African American studies, then you can help people of color. So would I count?
Let's just say ethnic studies.
Ethnic. Okay.
Well, there are Asian studies. There's an Asian study. There's an
Well,
Asian.
yeah, but
art.
that's
there
for-
are, there
that's
are
for people
studies
who
of all
grew
of
up
the ethnicities.
And got out of their mom's basement and went to college, but never forgot their roots
Yes.
in anime.
No.
Do you think Asian studies is just anime?
Do you think people actually take Chinese or Korean or Mongolian studies? Most of them probably take Japanese.
I'm gonna
yeah.
disagree with you on
I'd
that
say
one.
probably Chinese. Chinese is the long race.
Maybe Chinese, if. But then what would you use that for?
You would basically preserve the history of. That's like saying.
Why not
Why
say-
would you study European history? Whoa.
So
It's
you
the
can
same
teach
as studying-
European
Well, I mean,
history.
For that
Western,
argument, European
like,
history has a
people
much
invaded.
more direct impact on our culture.
I think
and
you would study history
mean,
for the same reason
yeah.
you would
can't
study.
really
if you want to
say
go into like
that's
government,
just to like deepen, get a better understanding of other people's cultures and stuff.
Yeah.
yeah.
If you're doing like especially
I
international
just
Yeah,
don't
no, I feel
understand
like
how
it's a
one
really
makes a
important
living
aspect
Guys,
to learn
that
about.
way. You know what I'm
Guys,
saying?
Starting your own
It's
course.
really hard to listen to podcasts when there's like 4 people talking at once.
Alright.
We need the talking stick.
Sorry.
Right back.
Talking speaker.
Talking wallet.
Welcome
Okay.
to middle school.
I guess.
Woo.
Okay, talking Mandarin.
I already
That's what you probably try.
Oh,
Is
that's
that from
that's
CS?
easier
Yeah.
to throw.
Can we
at
get a
us.
talking mango instead?
I don't have a mango. In those
Indians
ones,
have a
but-
real good thing for mangoes, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes,
But
but
do you
there's
have-
like more Asians in this room than there are Indians.
Seamus, Indians or
That's a fair
Asians?
point.
Hold up, Seamus.
Seamus, should we take geography again?
Absolutely not.
Well, looks like someone didn't pass human geography. Anyway,
Well, why do you
So,
think I'm
yeah,
here?
killed
Hey,
it.
somebody doesn't have the
Geography.
talking Mandarin.
He's still
guys,
technically.
I'm the one with the talking Mandarin. I'll pass it over when I'm done.
So honestly, only one person can talk at a time.
Should we introduce two?
Kelsey.
No, we only want one.
Yeah,
Well,
we
you can have
Yeah,
you need
one.
2 people to have a discussion.
Yes,
Can I
but
have
then
a universal talking
False.
Mandarin?
Well, you can
No.
go in.
What happened to I'm not gonna contribute?
I'm contributing when I feel it's needed.
It's not.
Alright.
He kept
Who
saying I'm
wants
not
the other
gonna talk.
Mandarin?
No, we'll take. Oh, never mind.
So I mean, in my opinion, I feel like, I feel like ethnic studies, in or majors or degrees of those types, I feel like, you know, holistically to make you a better person, or like make you a more knowledgeable person, I feel like they're pretty useful. But practically, if you want the best chances of getting the best paying jobs, I feel like STEM courses are probably much better.
Like I'm trying to make money.
But then again, is everything about
Money.
money? Because not
Yeah.
everyone.
Oh my god, money rules
appreciates-
all. Money rules all. If you're poor, you have nothing.
There is an portion of truth to that, but
Not
also
like
I feel like
I'm just saying, like life is just more comfortable when you have money, when you don't have to worry about things because you can't pay for them.
Yeah, but when you have an infinite amount of money, but you don't have any knowledge to support that money, you don't
Well,
you don't
STEM
preserve your
courses
culture.
generally come with
you
a bit
don't
of
have the
knowledge.
talking orange.
Okay, it's actually in Mandarin, but
You don't have the talking.
It's a Mandarin
You don't have the
orange.
talking citrus.
Alright,
You don't-
pause! Stop grabbing my toes!
sorry for what you had to hear there, viewers.
The monster
I
under
was
the bed's
like
getting a
back
little
and
feisty.
Guys, okay,
So
back on track, guys.
Anyways, I
Brody
feel like
stole my
it would
orange.
be more important to preserve the world's culture and the world's history than for some random dude to be making more money than like.
Also, I think
This is
If-
America.
there's an issue, like there's an
Capitalist
inherent
king.
issue, there's like many issues in our society. If you're passionate about fixing those or standing up against them, you do the work and you get the degree out of love for what you're doing and for passion and for making a change in the world rather than making
Yeah,
money.
there's that too, but like, I mean, kind of addressing what Emily and Seamus was whispering about there. Why shouldn't a guy who wants to make money and through hard work and dedication be able to do that? Why doesn't he deserve it? Because I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be a guy. If he or she went through college and had to do all the stuff they had to do in STEM in order to get an actual job or get a really good job, like, shouldn't they be entitled to the money they get?
There's this wonderful thing called the difference principle that Rawls talks about in Theory of Justice, where, yeah, there's, like, the idea that people get, like, what they get because of their natural talents, but then there's also the idea with the difference principle that shouldn't actually apply. So, yeah, I just wanted to put that in there because Rawls. And Payne, here you go. Here's the
Thank you for remembering. Who wants Pop Tarts?
You had Pop Tarts
You
this
know-
entire time. You didn't
Yeah.
tell us.
Blueberry or s'more?
Blueberry, please.
You're like,
Can I have
one
s'more?
blueberry left.
So
Oh, thank you.
Can I have s'more
Apple, I don't
flavoring
like it.
fruit in my sweets?
I'm sorry, the audience. We're currently having a Pop Tart break. We'll be back shortly.
Cut
Please
all the
don't leave.
crinkling out of.
I
No,
don't know.
keep
I
it
feel
in.
like that's one of the flagship parts for Kyle.
Yeah, the flagship part is the ASMR.
I think that's
like,
enough.
No, not. Can I steal a Pop-Tart from you?
Sure. They all come in packs of 2, so.
No, you can just-
Well, Emily, if you think about it, you can't, because he gave it to you
I
voluntarily,
know,
so you
I know.
can't steal a
I just
Pop-Tart.
feel bad if I say I steal a Pop-Tart or can I have a Pop-Tart, so it's just like the number
Take
of
it,
Pop-Tarts.
steal it. Oh my god, this is so
Alright,
fun.
Get
We're
back
wasting
to-
valuable recording
Can
time.
we
that's all
get
I
back
have
to
say.
the discussion while we're eating?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just gonna point out right now that
Yeah.
this is why capitalism is a failing model of economy.
I love
Because-
capitalism.
While it does have its true, it has its purposes and it has its benefits, I still feel like at the end of the day, it does not promote the spread of culture, and it only promotes a model where people are focused on short-term benefits and not what will happen in the long term.
Well,
Excuse me.
go on, Mr.
I feel like you have a very
Inefficient
valid
system is
point there.
this
Capitalism
Mandarin
is
orange
the root
system.
cause of most problems. For example, like factories cause global warming, nuclear war, arms proliferation, all this stuff. But there's no really good alternative as of right now. I feel like communism would be the best alternative, but there's tons of sort of like barriers stopping that from happening. First of all, it like comes with the presupposition that everybody's like in a utopian world, right? And everybody will do their own amount of work, and everybody will share everything the same amount, and like that's just not gonna happen. And we've seen how like usually there's always gonna be one person who comes up into power. Take for example Hitler, Stalin, Trotsky, all these people.
Putin.
Yeah.
See, I want to ask. See, before I start, like,
Right, fascist. Yeah, that's fascist. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
and before I start going or talking back to you guys, I want to ask, like, what is your guys' definition of communism? Because what happens usually is people's definitions will vary.
Destroy
let's-
the colonies.
Yeah,
So
are
what
we
happens
talking
is,
about
like,
like
some
the
people-
Americanized commies, or are
Right.
we talking
So
about
communism.
Are we talking
like
about like?
Marxism?
Yeah, are we talking about
Yes,
like
yes.
the Russians, like what happened with the Soviet Union, like that? I think that's
It's-
socialism.
No, it's
Um,
actually still so. Okay,
Because
so
I mean, I think what happens is some people like look at Russia and they think that's communism, but I'm pretty sure that was socialism. And
Right.
other people, when they
So-
say they want communism,
also
they want
not socialism.
anarcho-capitalism.
Right,
No,
so
it's
China-
Stalinism. It's like.
China likes to call it communism. The Soviet Union likes to call it communism. However, true communism is not achieved until the means of production is controlled by the workers.
Mm-hmm.
Which means like
So-
all this sort of Soviet Union thing, they call it communist, they call it the Communist Party. It's actually a socialist party because there's still a position of power, right?
So would you say you want anarcho-communism?
Anarcho-communism would be the best alternative. However, that is just strictly impossible unless all of you are friends who will all do the same amount of work and with no disabilities or whatever, right?
So by anarcho-communism, are you saying like everyone, there is no system of power, everyone out of their own free will contributes to the
Yeah.
society?
So do you know what a commune is? It's like a sort
Group
of
of workers?
so a commune is like basically what the communism would look like in a sort of centralized state, and it's basically where everybody's doing their own work to fulfill the community's needs. Communism stems from the word community in that sense.
So I mean, in my opinion, I'd say the central flaw in that is that you're assuming everyone will do
Exactly.
their share.
It's impossible.
See, I mean, the thing is, especially with, I forgot what the term was called.
You're
in
ignoring
or
human
psychology.
nature.
No, I forgot what the term was called in psychology, AP Psych. I think Brody might remember it. It's when you have enough people, if you have enough people doing a single task or working together, some people will start to slack off, or people will have the general idea to slack off.
I don't know the name of it. I'll look it up.
But anyway, I'd say capitalism is much better, because if you think about it, unless, because what we're assuming is that we're assuming a certain set of characteristics in people that are universal and that people cannot go against. Now, oh look, we have a
I think
visitor.
we have a visitor.
Can you open the door?
What lies behind that door?
Have a visitor.
Josiah,
Hello.
we have a surprise visitor.
Am I part of this podcast
Well,
now?
if you want to join us.
You are
I
now.
would love to join.
We're
you
talking
guys.
about communism and
It is
capitalism.
very, very warm in here.
It is.
Yes. So
We
anyway,
closed the windows because there was a weird background noise.
Anyway,
Anyway,
Go ahead.
so
We're talking about
Okay.
communism.
when I define capitalism,
We
I'm
also
not
have
talking about.
implemented a talking Mandarin, so you can only talk if you
Yeah,
have.
but it's not very efficient. I think it's kind of stupid.
No, I think it's fine
Yeah.
with a big group. Just like have Brian have. Okay, yeah, I don't have.
But what
it.
if someone eats the Mandarin?
I think Brian should have Brian and Brody should have a permanent talking Mandarin since like they're the owners of the podcast, and then this is for us to like not talk over each other.
Let's hear it for hierarchies.
So anyway, what we're assuming for anarcho-communism to work is that we're assuming everyone has a certain set of characteristics that they will fulfill 100% of the time. Now, the problem in that reasoning is you're not giving the same set of assumptions to capitalism, because if we assume everyone will act out for their own good, but not try to harm everyone else in doing so, then I can make the argument that anarcho-capitalism or capitalism is a better system.
Yeah. Wait, but it stands to think that, right? I don't think we should have any sort of absolutist type government type. Like if you have anarchical communism, that doesn't really work because of the fact that it's weak in economy. You can't really make things with absolutist economy. At the same time, capitalism has the exact opposite problem. It's very, very strong in economy, but it's weak politically because all people want to do is make more and more money. So what I think is we should actually merge the both of them. Take a look at countries in such as Sweden or Finland
I think
or
you're
Norway.
also confusing some things there.
Why?
Because we were talking about anarcho-communism, and now you're talking about socialism or
I know.
democratic socialism,
I'm
which
thinking-
is another concept that we're talking about.
Well, see, democratic socialism is a mix of the
Well,
best
democratic
parts of
socialism-
communism
No.
and the best parts of capitalism.
No, I thought
think.
what happens there is they tax you heavily, but in terms of like personal income tax, they tax you heavily, but
You get certain
what
benefits.
happens is they allow the market to be extremely free. So they let the market run wild, and they get the fruits of the market, and then pay for the social welfare system.
I don't think that's quite how that works because it actually limits a few of the
Well, I mean,
in attempting to guarantee a person's like general rights, it actually like controls a few of the markets that are very essential for those, such as the medical care market. Like right now in the United States, like yeah, it's letting the market run free, but in those in those key industries that really matter to a person's well-being, they're also being let run free, which is a bad thing for each individual at the end of the day. In those countries, some things are limited, the important things are limited, and they are controlled by the government, but most of the actual interactions and most of the actual economy is left free, and I feel like that could work for a smaller population.
well,
Yeah.
I don't. So what you're just saying is we should have a capitalist market, but the government should nationalize some industries. So
Well,
is that
yeah.
just capitalism with a more strong state?
Yes,
That's what it seems like, yeah.
basically.
So a more absolute state, but a more free market at the same time.
Is it absolutist? Because it's still.
Well, no,
'cause
no. It's
absolutist
on
would-
more the range towards absolutist. Like compared to the U.S., where the U.S. is like, the U.S. is not controlling of certain industries as much as, like, for example, the or Scandinavian countries
Yeah.
are. So on that scale, Scandinavian countries tend towards more authoritarian, while the U.S. tends towards more liberalism.
I don't think they're more
Or
authoritarian.
libertarian.
They just have
Um,
more.
When I
power
walked in
and-
here, I thought we were gonna be talking about stuff like books or popcorn or
No.
Stop the
TV shows.
intricacies. This is a serious
Yeah.
This is a serious
podcast.
I had no clue what I was getting into.
This is like Pod Save America, but like for like 16-year-olds.
Mm.
Listen, the Mandarin Orange thing
Anyway,
isn't working.
wait. I want to get back to like.
Because, like,
Everybody
everybody-
allowing it to work.
Listen,
No, no, no.
like everybody wants to say things, but they have to sit here and like wave for the orange, and by the time that like they get the orange, the topic has gone by.
Well,
That's
should
the
we do it
point,
like?
though.
Wait,
You
guys,
wanna
guys,
wait
two
for-
things. One, how about we all just not talk over each other?
How about we just
You know what,
be
how about we
respectful?
interrupt each other?
See, it's
so-
all-
You see, because
It's
I want to eat
immediately
this.
not working.
I think we should split up the mic into 6 sectors and then just go from there.
Monster, what are you doing?
While we're on this break, the psychological effect is called the Ringleman effect or social loafing.
Yeah, social loafing. That's what it was.
Thank you, Brody.
I'd say for a little bit, let's take a pause on the intricacies of communism and capitalism and talk about something else.
Wait, hold
If
on.
we say
I had
communism
a,
one more
I had a
time,
whole
my
argument
grandma's
I was
not
setting
gonna
up
listen,
to.
guys.
I was about to make a great argument on how
No,
these
no.
Mandarin oranges are like essential to the capitalist system.
No, anyway, I gotta make the argument.
Okay.
So it was.
I'm gonna let
So
you
if you guys are praising anarcho-communism, but saying that it only works in utopia, because you guys are assuming a certain set of characteristics that humans will fulfill, then and I could also assume a certain set of characteristics that humans could fulfill that would make capitalism a much better system. Then therefore we shouldn't use that as a criteria for judging which one's a better system practically. Therefore, since capitalism works better in the real world, or at least is the one that has survived and done much better, capitalism is therefore the one that we should use in the real world.
May I give like a closing argument to all of this?
Alright.
So I feel like anarcho-communism is what would happen in an ideal world, right? That's like the number one golden standard,
Yeah.
where nobody loses no matter what. I feel like capitalism allows for the spectrum of sort of alignments that we have with people, right? We have people who have like just really down to earth, good intentions, who we just want to help out with the community, and we have people who like even more so than somebody in an anarcho-communist like sort of area, or we have people who are just despicable and just like self-interested and like only wants to do what they want to do. I feel like capitalism accounts for all those spectrums because like say you're in a family, right, and you have like this father who really wants to like support his family, right, and the other kids who are not fit to work yet is taking care of their father, right? And it sort of allows for this. And then say like they're huge business owners, right? And they have evil intentions, but they're like, for example, lawyers and like checks and balances to these systems. The only problem with our capitalist system right now is there's an imbalance of people wanting to do evil things and not listening to the science behind it. Because I feel like, for example, a good example is global warming, right? I feel like a lot of like global warming's real, obviously. I feel like a lot of people are just kicking down the problem, down the bucket. They're not worrying about it. And it's not like even these people have bad intentions some of the times. It's just that they're not aware of the risk and harms associated with what they're doing, and it causes all these bad things. So capitalism works best in the real world, but it's not a long-term solution.
Some of these people also don't understand like how science works.
Yeah.
Like they just don't.
See, that's why we call them having evil intentions, because they don't understand. And the bigger problem is that the checks and balances don't actually work.
Exactly.
Because right now they're too slow and things are moving too quickly, and by the end of the day you're gonna have way too many people who have too much power, and they're just gonna squash down the people who are down to earth and who want to do the best for the community.
Yeah, it's a flawed system for sure, but right now it's the only system we can work with.
Yeah.
Because we can't make a drastic change immediately, because that's just going to take too much resources, and we're already on a fast track to all these like terminal impacts that we haven't even reached yet. And the moment we just sort of like get off rail and try doing our own thing, it'll be too late. We just need to focus on improving the system we have, fix the impacts, and then
Right.
do it.
So I kind of want to end the episode here, so we won't have to overwhelm the viewer. But before we end, I just want to ask you guys. So, what were your guys' definitions for communism and capitalism? Because for this entire episode, I was working under the definition of communism being, or like the communism we were talking about being, everyone lives in a society and they work for the society, and the society pays them back. And I assume that the definition of capitalism that we were working under is, the simple definition would be, everyone is out to work for themselves and improve their own self. Is that generally what we were talking about here?
Yeah.
I remember when my 7th grade history teacher tried to explain communism to me. He was like, if you're working as like a trash bin collector and that guy works as an engineer, and a Snickers bar is the amount of currency, like the amount of pay that you get, and you each get a Snickers bar for your yearly work, would that be fair? And I was like, yeah, because you both get a Snickers bar. And I didn't really understand the concept. I don't know. I just wanted to add that in. I'm very tired. I'm
Final
sorry.
closing words from Josiah, I guess.
Yeah.
That should be it for episode 6.